doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so today I got a little bit of an underrated gem for you guys. It's a puzzle adventure game type deal with some RPG elements in it, and with some platforming in it also. And because of the controls, there's a little bit of a quirk to this game. The controls and the camera and the angle of your gameplay, play field, and all that. There's a little bit of a quirk to the gameplay. This game is from 1990, and for all intents and purposes, it is a very underrated, underknown game. Today's game is Solstice. Okay, now in Solstice you play as a wizard named Shaddix, who has to rescue a princess by the name of Eleanor from an evil wizard named Morbius before the winter solstice. And you also need to retrieve the pieces of the Staff of Demnos in order to do this. Now, you venture into this labyrinth to find the pieces to this staff so that you can rescue Princess Eleanor. And that's where things kind of get hairy because this labyrinth is trap laden. It's full of enemies, full of monsters, stuff like that. Well, throughout this game, you'll notice one important thing, and that's the entire game is played from an isometric viewpoint, and the controls are a little weird. The controls take a little getting used to because of that. Now, graphically, it's beautiful, and the NES pulls this effect off with very little effort. It looks really good on the NES, but again, it takes a little getting used to as far as the orientation of your character versus the standard up, down, left, right controls of the NES control pad. As you advance through the game, you'll have to do some platforming, and once you've gotten used to the controls and the camera angle, it's pretty easy to get that platforming down without any real issues. It's pretty easy to get it. There are a number of different items and potions that you have to collect throughout the game in order to be able to progress, and you have to solve some puzzles in order to get through them. One of the early puzzles that you'll notice in this game is one where you have to place a block on a moving enemy's head, and once that enemy has gotten in a position where you can stand on it, you stand on the block that's on the enemy's head and let the enemy take you to a platform where you collect an item. That's the kind of cool stuff that happens in this game. And at first you'll just be wandering around. If you don't really know what's happening in this game, you'll just be wandering around aimlessly trying to figure it out. And that's another problem with this game, if there are any glaring problems with it. There's no real idea. You don't really have an idea of what to do in this game early on. But once you figure it out, it's a joy to play. It's a really cool game. It's not the easiest game, but it's a fun time. Definitely not for everybody though. If you're not into adventure games, if a game like I'll say The Immortal, if something like The Immortal or the old RPGs on the NES, if stuff like that really doesn't appeal to you, you might have a hard time with this title, because it's definitely a cross between something like Lolo, The Adventures of Lolo, and a little bit of Dragon Warrior with just a smidge of Marble Madness thrown in there. But definitely worth the effort if you think you might be into it. I'll say give it a shot. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow.